Hi, everybody. This is Ben Colby, Teen Librarian at Enoch Pratt, coming to you from the Teen Center. I'm going to talk about sculptures today. Here we have a couple that I've already designed. I was able to do a nice print of this flower, which I'm going to recreate today. I think it came out nice, so I'm going to share a few pictures with you right now of how that came out. Um, when you 3D print something, you can always mark it up with acrylic paint or nail polish, or even Sharpie marker. The Sharpie doesn't stay on forever. It can kind of rub off a little bit, but it's a decent option for you. So I'm just going to jump in and start a new design here, and I'm going to start with the scribble shape. And let's just make it a curve shape like this with like a little lip that goes over. Maybe too much. Let me kind of just taper that edge a little bit. Okay. So let's see. So first thing I want to do is stand it up and hit D. Not bad. I want this to be just slightly thinner than the other one. That's fine. And maybe I want more of these petals too than on the other one. How am I going to do this? I'm going to, the quickest way I think is to hit Alt, hold down Alt, and then pull the rotation arrow. And it creates a new copy. Let's just keep this simple and do a series of 8, which means I need to divide them each by 45 degrees. And let's just make sure that each piece is touching the next piece. Another nice thing about doing 8 is that I can just do some copying and pasting. So now I have that group, those two which I just grouped together, and let's rotate these by 90 degrees now. And make sure they're touching again. Very nice. And now I'll select all 4 and group them and hold Alt while I rotate 180 degrees. And I just want to get that a little closer so there's a little more overlap. It is important that these pieces end up touching something at the top that holds them steady. When you have a large vertical tower like this, it gets wobbly at the top unless there's something to hold it. Very nice for the first round. Group it. And I'm going to Alt and drag one of these off to the side. You can also use the copy and paste or duplicate keys. I want this to alternate with the other one, so 22.5 degrees, half of 45. And then it'll, the solid panels will cover the open panels, except this I want to be significantly smaller. In this direction, I'm not holding, well, I guess I will hold Shift for now. That seems fine, but I'll stretch it up to be a little higher. So let's just see how those look together. I'm going to select them. I'm going to hit the Align tool. I want to align them in the center in the X direction, so I click that, and in the Y direction, so I click that. Pretty good. Is it overlapping a little bit? That's what I want to know. Is it overlapping? Maybe. Yeah, I think it is overlapping. All the pieces kind of pinch together at the top, which I like. Very good. And actually, I think this I could even lower a little bit. Nice. Okay, so I'm going to Alt and drag another one of these. I guess I could just leave it with 2 layers. That's pretty nice, actually. Yeah, that's fine. Let's just leave it with 2 layers instead of 3. So that's pretty good for a flower shape. The overhangs are perhaps a little bit too much for the printer, but it won't be the end of the world if we lose the tips. Very nice. So let's get a stem going for this. I only need the stem to be big enough to hold the bottom. So I don't know, 20 is probably too, oops. What I just did was pull one of them. I wanted to group them before I lift them. Well, that's pretty nice. It's not centered. In fact, I could center it perfectly if I want to by using that align tool again. Fine, and now what I really want to do is tilt the flower a little bit this way and maybe a little bit this way. Are we still overlapping the bottom? Not quite. Just recenter it a little. Yeah, and now the bottom is holding everything together quite well. We could stop here if you want. I want to create two leaves. So I'm taking another squiggle shape and let's just kind of make something that looks like a leaf. And then just make sure you fill it in completely. It does take a bit of time. Actually, I could leave a little gap in the middle of this. How about that? That'd be really weird. But just a very tiny, skinny gap in the middle. Very nice. I like that. Okay. This is going to be much flatter than the other pieces. It'll have to be at least a few millimeters wide just to be strong enough. And let's see. We can change the size of all this together at the end, and I'm not worried about that. This can be scaled up to the maximum of the printer if necessary. And you can always just say, I want this to be maxed out on the printer if possible, and I'll make it big. So before I start arranging this on here, I want to add an effect. I want to add a cutout shape here. And I just dragged a sphere over. I'm dragging a hole shaped sphere. I just want it to be really, I'm stretching it to be a really big flat M&M shape basically. It kind of covers this. And I don't want it to cut out completely from the bottom, but I do want it to cut a rounded shape out. Maybe I'll just raise it up tiny bit more. And if we didn't get the top and the bottom, it's all right. Oops. Okay. You zoom out enough to select both of these and then group them. And now I should have a very nice spherical cutout rounded shape from my leaf. And I could keep doing stuff like that to it to make it look a little more realistic, but I'm satisfied with this for now. So what do? We will tip it up, but not all the way up. I'm going to get it back on the surface by hitting D. I'm going to lift it off the surface and look from the side. I think it's still a little big for me, and I want it to tilt a little more this way. Not bad. So it overlaps with the bottom, but that's no big deal. Maybe I can move it forward a little bit so it kind of frames the thing, and that's okay, except we do need the bottom to be stuck in the base. All right, good enough. And let's just maybe, okay. Copy and paste the other one. Let's mirror it. I want it to look like it's going the other way. And then maybe tilt it this way a little bit so it kind of fits behind the thing. Pretty good. And again, it overlaps with the bottom, but no one will notice that. And this is pretty well balanced too, because the leaves are kind of hanging off the other way of the flower to kind of counterbalance that weight. So I think it'll stand up real nice. And this is something that we could either print in color layers if you want, or all in one color and think about paint or nail polish at the end. But I think that'll come out real nice.